It's Wednesday, November 9th, and that means it's time for another jammed-packed, awesome episode of Ekeler's Edge. Joining me, obviously, as always, is Los Angeles Chargers running back Austin Ekeler. Austin, buddy, how's it going, man?
Matt, what's up, man? It's going well. It's going well, you know. The body is feeling pretty solid all the way, through 8 games. So that is why I would say it's going well right now. Football is football. It's what you expect. It's all over the place. It's up and downs. It's injuries. It's this and that, media, drama, and the scoreboard and what people think about you. But, that's one of the reasons why it's so great. And so we could have this show because of it and talk about some of that. So glad to be back, man.
No doubt, man. I'm sure there's a lot going on inside your guys' building, inside your own mind, man. I mean, it is that point of the season, the midway point. We'll unpack a lot of that stuff as we go through the show today. But first, before we jump into that, of course, want to give you a chance to plug all of the giveaways that you've got going on right now heading into week 10.
Yeah. We have the still ongoing jersey giveaways. If you have me on your fantasy football team, which I feel like a lot of you at this point know, that we do a jersey giveaway. I give away 2 signed jerseys every single giveaway. Also, I'm going to plug the foundation today since I'm wearing the Be the Best You shirt. We have merch, and all of the profits go to the Austin Ekeler Foundations, where we put resources back into the community for other people to hopefully become the better version of themselves one day, at least have that opportunity to. So those are the plugs for today. Appreciate that, Matt. Matt, you got anything you got to plug? What's going on? What's going on in the life of Matt? Anything that's worth plugging?
Yeah, I mean, I'm busy. Things are going pretty well. We have I'm knee deep in charting routes for rookies right now. We got a midseason rookie report coming out.
I think we should go into that a little bit more in one of these episodes, because I would love to hear like what that process is like. Like, do you go back and where do you get this film from? Are you watching the TV copies? Like all,
Oh no, yeah, it's all 22, baby. You can't be seen. Receivers running off the damn screen on the TV copy. You can never do that. That's what's actually. It's real frustrating for college players, because that film is like, especially these days, you got to do some dark stuff on the internet to find that, and then TV copy readily available. But we'll get into that one day.
Maybe we should get into it then, huh? I don't know if there's some illegal activity going on or what's going on over here. Who knew?
No illegal activity, but we'll certainly not be outing any sources. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, we'll get it. We should get into that maybe like one of the back half of the season episodes. But yeah, so pretty busy doing that. Real fun class of rookie wide receivers. We'll be talking about some young running backs on the show today. But Austin, let's get into it. Your game last week, Chargers 20, Falcons 17. In the pre-show meeting, man, and Austin's back here shaking his head right now. And I think this is funny because some like you tweet out every good game, whatever, from your Twitter account, like pictures from the game, that stuff. And of course, like everybody in the comments is, oh, you killed it for my fantasy team. You killed it for my fantasy team. Like, you had this great fantasy day, but you're being a little hard on yourself coming out of that game for a lot of different reasons. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Wow. So as far as, I don't want to get all the way to the end yet, just the game in general. I feel like there was many opportunities that I had. Not many. When I say many, like 2 or 3 is a lot in the NFL. Like usually getting one is a blessing. I feel like I had a couple extra opportunities to make some pretty big plays that were dropped due to me dropping a ball, fumbling the ball, not getting out as soon as I could have. Just little things like that make a huge difference, in Justin's ability to get me the ball, or the, O-line being able to block and be in the right space and the timing matching up. And so looking back at the game, I could have had a much bigger day. And then getting to the end of the game, which is why I'm like still really feeling like some type of way about this game, is I basically almost gave the game away. But out of a miracle that happened, probably the luckiest and unluckiest play at the same exact time for me, where I fumbled the ball with 22 seconds left or whatever it was, something below a minute. I fumble the ball. They pick it up. They're running. The guy that's running drops the ball, not gets it stripped, drops the ball. I'm talking, he's running, and imagine me running in practice, and all of a sudden I drop the ball like that, drops the ball, luckily my teammates were there and actually were around to pick it up. And we were able to save the game because of some efforts by my teammates. So for me, my emotions are, definitely like all over the place because I'm like, I'm glad we won, but we should have probably won by more. But it could have gone vice versa too, because they also had plays that they could have made on us that they didn't end up executing. But that's football, man. It's all over the place. It's wild. It's wild. But yeah, that is probably one of the craziest plays that I've been a part of as far as me being unlucky, bang, fumble, and then all of a sudden they just gifted it back to us. So that's why I feel the way I do and why I was shaking my head, because I got to play better for sure. And then, I mean, that would have led to even more fantasy points. I should have had I think I had 20 points at halftime, and I think I had probably. Actually, I knew this because I was going into the locker room and someone was like, man, he's already got 20 fantasy points at halftime. And so I think I ended with like 20 something. So I was like, the second half was pretty dead. But that's all I got from that game.
Man, are you aware of like, I mean, you're probably not, which thank goodness, but like there's like a phrase. They literally turned like the Falcons and the Chargers into verb, like chargering and falconing, like when you're giving making it really crazy at the end of the game, and it's like, man, I don't know who's gonna charger harder or falcon harder. No. Like these two teams, that was like the joke on the internet at the time. So it was pretty wild to see that. One of the other hosts on the podcast, Scott Pianowski, asked me on Sunday night, like, is there any teams, because I've had a complicated relationship in my lifetime with the Carolina Panthers. I would not consider myself a Panthers fan anymore. Are there any teams that like actually I care about and root for? Like, not really, but I do root for guys. Like I root for receivers that I like. I root for you because like we do the show together. So I'll tell you what, man. At the end of that game, I was like, "Jeez, please, somebody just let's not let it go out like that. Let's not have it go out like that." So I was very happy that for whatever reason, our buddy there on the Falcons drops the ball and we're able to come back from it.
I for one appreciate the support, but yeah, I am too. Look, I can't fumble the ball and put us in that situation, but wow, what a gift. What a gift that was.
Yeah. Do you ever think like, and it's funny because I guess you sort of answered the question there in that you said like in the first half, you felt like you were really rolling. The second half, you weren't really rolling. That was kind of reflected in the final fantasy numbers. Do you ever like, what do you think the biggest disconnects are between like fantasy production and actual real life play? Because I personally kind of think there's a lot, but I'm curious what you think.
You're saying the disconnects between, maybe you need to elaborate on that a little more.
Yeah, like how you say, you didn't have that great of a game, but obviously everybody that has you in fantasy is like, thanks for, it's kind of what I was saying, like, thanks for crushing it, like that type of stuff. And, what do you think the biggest disconnects are between like the way fantasy scoring works? And I'm sure you're not like, knee deep in this stuff or whatever, but just one of like the disconnects, I guess, between like production and actual play on the field, because that's really what it is.
Yeah. Wow. What's the biggest difference? I mean, fantasy is based off of, especially if you score touchdowns, like if you have a couple touchdowns, people are going to be thanking you regardless. Even if you fumbled the ball, had 20 yards rushing the entire game and had 10 carries on those 20 yards, they're going to say thank you, right? So there's not a direct, I guess, like lining up of what successes look like on the football field as it is to what the fantasy points can look like. So there's where I guess would be one disconnect. Another disconnect is obviously the winning of the game or not. Like fantasy managers don't care if your team won or lost. They just care if you scored them points. So that would be a disconnect. And then I think even more of a disconnect is something we talk about all the time is that, hey, like, we are trying to play the best that we can play. And if we don't have a great day, it's not because, we wanted to go out there and suck. Like no one's trying to go out there and be bad. We're all trying to, trust me, we're all trying to increase our play, increase our role, because that increases our pay, increases our longevity, our legacy, all of that. So there's a lot that rides on it. So that would be another disconnect, is people thinking that, you had a bad game, I should go in there and tell you that you should not have a bad game. It's like, we know. So those would be three. Yeah, you said there's many. There's probably a lot more. But yeah, those are three, I guess I would say.
Yeah, I guess one thing I always come back to is like receivers. They can like be out there running great routes and getting open, but they're not the first read in the progression. The first read's always open, or like they're dictating coverages, like they're opening it up for other guys, but that's never ever going to even come close to being reflected in fantasy. But it is a reality of like, it makes the plays work, which then leads to wins, which of course that's what it's really all about.
That's a great one, actually, because you got like, we have routes in our plays. It's like, all right, you're probably not getting the ball. Like we have routes in on the routes in the play, it has like the progression that the quarterback's going through. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then like whoever's not getting the ball is basically like alert. They just put an alert on him. Just like if something crazy happens, you might get the ball, but really we just need you to clear it out or go like run a deep over so we can, displace the defense in the way that we're trying to. So that's a good one.
Oh, well, yeah, it's something I definitely have thought about a lot. But bringing it back to this game and the other side of it, wanted to pick your brain about Cordarrelle Patterson.
Wow.
Yeah. By the way, one of the few players that has me blocked on Twitter. I have no idea why. I don't know why. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did to CPAT.
Damn.
But,
okay.
I'm sure I probably deserved it somewhere along the way. I'm sure I probably deserved it.
Yeah.
Back in my younger, more controversial days, I've grown.
Well, look, it only takes one little thing and us being in the wrong state of mind where we're not really putting up with anything, and you tick us off in one way and you're blocked. I definitely have some people blocked, and they don't deserve to get recognition on here, so they deserve to stay blocked from some fantasy people. But yeah,
there you go.
Just the toxic. I cannot stand toxicity. You know this, Matt. And so if you're toxic around me, block. Like I have probably hundreds of just individuals, but a couple analysis type people that are putting out fantasy content.
Interesting. Yes. Now that off air, I would love to pick. I would love to pick through your analyst block list. But yeah, no. I mean, look, everybody's like, I've been there before too. It's like, oh, this is just, you said something to me about something I wrote, something I said that you took out of context, whatever, and it was just, I'm having a bad day anyways. Yeah, you're out of here, pal.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah, it's just, it is what it is. That's what happens if you're a jerk. There are consequences, and I don't know what I did, but that's no one cares about that. Let's get back to actually Cordarrelle Patterson's play. This is a guy who, has been one of the most electric, most productive kick returners in the NFL. He came into the league as a wide receiver, but this guy's like doing real big boy running back type stuff now. That has to be like an incredible transition. You're a guy that catches a lot of passes, but it's still it's just a different game, man. When he trucked Drew Tranquil,
oh my God,
on the goal line, man, I was like, wow, this guy, he's coming off an injury too. Like he is all the way back.
Yeah. Talk about just, actually, it's funny. Going back to my special teams days, when we were going against, I forgot where he was at the time. But
Raiders, maybe
we played, I think, against him on a couple teams. But he was their kick returner, and our kick special team coach at the time had recruited him to the team that he was at originally. So back in the day, so he had a lot of familiarity with him. He's like, this guy is an anaconda. Like he's an anaconda. Like he's gonna strike. Like it's fast and it's downhill, and you got to get out of the way. So we got to get bodies to this guy, and he has basically been able to translate that into his run game. Like this guy is not easy to break down. He is running downhill, like make you tackle me at 6'3", 235 or whatever he weighs. One of the bigger running backs, definitely one of the bigger running backs. Derrick Henry might only be the one bigger than him. Sheesh. But just the authority that guy runs with is like a kick returner. I'm like, yeah, that's how even our kick returner DC's running. He's a lot smaller, but like when you're a kick returner, like you cannot slow down. If you slow down, you're going to get destroyed because there's people running full speed at you. So you got to fight energy with energy if you're trying to run through stuff. And he has done a really good job. And I think I mentioned him at the very beginning of the season with EKELER'S Edge, talking about how I really liked him and his transition to being a running back and how he's been able to have success there. I still don't like that he's wearing 84, but you stick with your number, I guess. That looks gross in the backfield, man. But yeah, shout out to Cordarrelle, man. Just creating value in multiple ways.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a harder transition than most fans might think, because it's like, oh, he's running back, he's running just like he runs on a kick return. But like you said, you got to go full speed on a kick return. But with being a running back, and same thing with wide receiver too. Like you got to run with tempo, you got to run with pace. Like you can't.
It didn't look like it, man. It looked like he was running downhill, full speed. I'm going this way. If it works, great. If not, I'm still gonna get 4 yards trucking through people. And that's what he was doing. Even then, yeah, he had a couple jump cuts and things in there that were like, yeah, he made the right cut. But yeah, so there's some feel, but we all have a different style, I would say. But yeah, for him, his style is downhill, force you to tackle me, and I'm still going to get yardage because he's big and he can run with low pad leverage, as we saw on the goal line with Drew. Look, sometimes you get got, and Drew definitely got, and that was an amazing play. It was an amazing play by Cordarrelle for sure.
I think he's set up to have a great second half of the season because that run game has been real efficient, even without him. And now he's back in there to add a little more pop to it. I mean, I know a lot of fantasy folks are pissed about the Falcons offense, like because they don't throw the ball enough. They're not getting the ball to Drake London, who's a beast, Kyle Pitts, who's obviously really talented. But when you watch that run game, like Arthur Smith is doing some creative stuff there and doing a lot of good stuff as a rushing team overall and as a passing team. That'll get there as they figure some more things out. So Chargers are still just one game back for the Chiefs on the division lead, despite dealing with all the injuries. So we'll see how your guys' season continues to progress. Got a big game coming up this week we'll talk about later. But Austin, we don't need to recap Monday Night Football. The Ravens won. Kenyon Drake was the right answer at running back. Chris Olave is a pro at wide receiver, despite being a rookie. I talked about that rookie report earlier. My God, that guy, separation, route running, knows how to get open. Unbelievable. But I think we got to talk a little bit about something that happened yesterday. We talked about it at the pre-show meeting yesterday. The Colts fire Frank Reich. They hired Jeff Saturday, former longtime Colts center, who was a current ESPN analyst. Did you get a chance to catch any of the press conference last night?
I did not catch any of the press conference, but I heard that, yeah, there's some interesting things going on, to say the least. Yeah, you got to catch me up.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the press conference was just, it was wild. You know, Jim Irsay said, like, we were fortunate he was available. Well, I mean, of course, Jeff was available. He was working at ESPN. Yeah, he wasn't coaching. But I'm really curious to, I know you're not in the locker room. You don't know how the exact things are going on with this specific example, but I'm just curious because I think the one thing that's kind of gotten lost in the discussion with the Jeff Saturday thing is that I'm really curious how the guys in the locker room and how the team would feel about somebody who is an outsider. Now, he's a Colts legend, right? Was just inducted into the Ring of Honor. Like, he does have skins on the wall. He's won Super Bowls with this team before. But he still wasn't even on the coaching staff. Like, he was a consultant with the team. That was made clear last night that he was a paid consultant. Nobody knows what the hell that means. But I'm curious from a player perspective, how would you feel if you were in this situation where a guy that isn't a part of the coaching staff after the head coach is fired, like, becomes the head coach like this?
I mean, if I was in that scenario, I feel like I wouldn't know how to feel. I think I would have some thought. I'm just thinking about just how the league is typically run in the past. We have several coaches across the entire league, across, even within our own organization, that have been working towards trying to be in that type of role, that head coach role. There's so many people that are trying to work their way up through connections, through expanding their game, and have been putting in the work. So that's why I thought it was really interesting, that move, where it's like you have this pool of coaches that are already existing, and I don't know the relationship with obviously the organization and him, which obviously is very, very close, or they wouldn't have made that move. There's some type of tie there that they really were confident in, maybe just the way he carries himself, maybe the way he speaks, his leadership. But yeah, now they have, someone they don't have a play caller, or someone that's never called play. I don't know, some crazy thing that I saw that's like, they don't have a play caller. Yeah.
There's nobody on that staff who has called plays, who has any history as a play caller. Because they fired their offensive coordinator, who wasn't, Marcus Brady was not calling the plays. That was head coach Frank Reich, but they fired him the week before this loss to the Patriots. And then obviously they fired Frank Reich, who was the primary play caller for his entire run there. Yeah.
And the thing, I feel like I think it really sends a message to the rest of the coaching staff too, of what the organization thinks of you. So clearly the organization doesn't think that you're able to run the team, any of you guys there. I think that's pretty clear on the wall. Like, straight up, they're just like, nah, you're not it. We're gonna go get this guy because we think he's much better for this, the short term, right? They'll probably just be, I'm guessing, just for the rest of the season.
I don't know about that, man. After watching that press conference last night, that was what was clear to me, was that when I say they, I totally mean Jim Irsay. I mean, obviously Chris Ballard, the GM, that was another thing too. Apparently they're going to keep Ballard around after, we'll see, right? But like, that's the plan right now, is they want to bring him back in 2023. But it was pretty clear that Jim Irsay intends for this to be a permanent move. Otherwise, like, they're not doing this. They're not hiring this guy off TV. If this was just let's kick this thing, they got John Fox. They have Gus Bradley, like guys who have been head coaches in the NFL before. This is not a playing out the string thing. This is like, I don't know what Jeff Saturday has to do to earn the job or lose the job, but it's pretty clear to me, like in an ideal world, Jim Irsay's ideal world, he owns the damn team, so he can do what he wants. They want him to be the head coach of this team going forward. That was my takeaway.
It looks like they're just like, hey, you know what? We're going to try a new trajectory. Let's go. Let's try it. And everyone else is going to have to, fall into place or leave, is what it's going to look like. And for the players, man, it's just like, man, I feel like your organization is saying, all right, let's go next. Let's keep playing hard. But, we just have so much disconnect here because of, coaching changes in the middle of the season, which is never great for an organization, just because that's what established the team in the very beginning. Now it's not there anymore. So it's like, okay, now you have new leadership. And so it's a mess when it comes to, I feel like, keeping your team together as far as what the mission is. Now we got to meet this new guy. We've never been around him. So, man, for those guys over there, bro, keep playing hard, right? Because look, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fascinated to see how Jeff Saturday pulls this thing. I mean, he does have experience as a high school head coach in Georgia, so there's that. Irsay said, I mean,
no comment.
I wish you guys could see Austin's face there when I said that. But Irsay's couple other quotes on this was, yes, he's fully experienced enough. Yes, he's fully capable. He also just kept rolling and said, we don't build rockets to go to Mars. It's a very simple job we do here. So I don't know that it's a very simple job, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a rude awakening. But we'll see. See how that plays out. Seems very risky and very bold.
Yeah. I'm
all right.
I mean, Jim Irsay's thoughts and like motivations and all this stuff aside, I will say for Jeff Saturday, and I know people have legit, like you said, feelings about that this is an unfair type of thing for a lot of different reasons. I will say, though, for Jeff Saturday, it does seem like everybody loves the dude. Like, he's a good guy. His former teammates love him. Obviously, the Colts love him. The people of Indianapolis love him. His ESPN colleagues, everybody has nothing but good things to say. But I would like to think that people... Go ahead.
I was going to say, you've heard what I've said about, maybe you haven't, about people that are good guys. Typically, the NFL doesn't care if you're a good guy or not.
Yeah.
They don't care. What matters is winning games. And so what are you trying to do? We want to get the best guy that's leading our team that is going to help us win games. Whether people like him or not, doesn't matter. Is he going to win? Right? Obviously, you can't go too far rogue where people you're not having detrimental effect on the organization, but you're winning games. That doesn't really work. You can't have the extremes. But for the most part, it doesn't matter if you're a good guy. Because, I mean, I've had coaches in the past, like A-Lin, for example. He was a great guy, good head on his shoulders, really stuck to his business, really knew how to construct, lead a team. But we weren't winning games. So guess what?
Yeah,
we made a change. That guy's still the reason I'm in the NFL, right? He was a part of giving me an opportunity. I owe that guy a lot as far as it's credit to my season and to my career. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. So, this guy's getting an opportunity that a lot of coaches in the NFL that have been coaching in the NFL for years have been trying to build up to. This guy hasn't coached 1 year in the NFL. Sure, he's won some Super Bowls, but we'll see how that translates to actually leading an actual NFL team in a head coaching space, not necessarily in the locker room, which is a lot different too. Because the role as a head coach is really like you're taking the fault for everything, good, bad, everything is put on your shoulders, and you got to talk to the media, and you got to do all these reports. You got to get everything ready. You got to set the tempo. You got to set the standard. All this stuff that is put on your shoulders that if you don't have experience doing or being around, especially for a while, you're gonna be challenged. You're gonna be challenged regardless, but even more now.
Yeah, I think knowing what makes a great head coach, especially, it's the most impossible thing to really tell, like going into it, because there are guys who were great players that are not good head coaches, based just on results. I mean, we talk about a good guy. Like everybody says Frank Reich's a good guy and they fired him yesterday. So like it's a great point that doesn't really make a difference. And there are guys who are great play callers. I think Frank Reich was a great play caller. They fired him. Like it's a hard balance to judge there. So I'll see. It's so much going into it, man. There's a lot there, but all right, big time gear switch from organizational chaos and intertwined stuff there to guys who are crushing it in fantasy. The top 12 running backs in God's game, half PPR, the Yahoo standard. Number one, you might have heard of him. Austin Eckler. Best running back in fantasy football right now. The rest of the top 12, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon rocketed up from 11-13 to 4 after a 50-point game. That'll do it for you.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Number 5, Christian McCaffrey. Number 6, Saquon Barkley. This is where it kind of leaves the established dudes into some new dudes who are kind of coming up here. Number 7, Ramondre Stevenson from the New England Patriots. Number 8, Josh Jacobs. 9, Leonard Fournette. Interesting one. Number 10, Aaron Jones. Number 11, Damian Pierce. And 12, Miles Sanders. Pretty big surprise. Austin, I don't know if you know this, but Miles Sanders did an interview in the offseason where he the word fantasy football came up and he immediately just shook his head and was like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what you want me to tell you about fantasy football. I don't get the ball enough. Basically he said don't draft me in fantasy. Well, shoot. Miles, you're kind of over.
We gotta get him on the show.
I know we have to get him on the show. He's 0 for 1 in terms of giving fantasy advice because Miles Sanders actually was one of the best draft picks he could have made this year.
Yeah, man. Sheesh. Just going down this list, man. Like you said, I guess the first 1 through 6 are some pretty established guys. Your boy holding the top spot. I'll try to do that as long as I can. I was number 2 last year, so I still want to, get that number 1 spot. It's one of my
there you go.
One of my side quests, I guess, along my journey of trying to win, a championship with the Chargers. But yeah, all these other guys. I mean, I'm expecting to see these guys pop off up here. There's some other guys that aren't on this list, but I think it's mainly because of injuries. I think Breece Hall. Is that who it was? Breece Hall.
He's 15. He's still 15th despite obviously the season.
Yeah, he's the guy that would have been up there. I think Jonathan Taylor would have been another guy up here. But getting down to Ramondre. I think this is his second year, right?
Second year, yep.
This is his second year, man. He has really come alive, man, for that squad over there. This is the guy that for me, from my perspective, I'm not really following, the Patriots like that. Came out of nowhere, because it was Damien Harris, right? That was their guy over there. And then it seems like Ramondre got an opportunity. Was he a draft pick there last year?
Yes, I think he was either a 4th or 5th round pick. So he had a couple moments where he popped last year, but obviously totally different this year.
And so, man, I think that's a great example of kind of the NFL and how sometimes it takes a year or even maybe 2 years for a guy to really understand and get into a rhythm and build the trust of the organization of his coaches before he starts really getting real opportunities. And it might be, someone got injured in front of him or there's so many different factors that play into you really coming into the spotlight. But obviously he made enough plays to stay around and has built up the trust and now has been killing it for him right now. He's their number 1, right? Is Damian Harris, is he injured?
Yeah. Harris has struggled a little bit with injuries that I think has opened up the door a little for Ramondre, but I think Ramondre is kind of taking that job by storm.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting with him, man, is that this is not something that fantasy Twitter was all about in the offseason. Is Ramondre Stevenson going to take over the passing down job from James White, right? Because James White retired. He had an injury, the whole thing. And over the last 3 weeks, there are only 3 running backs with 20 plus catches. Alvin Kamara and Ramondre Stevenson. That guy and he's not built, like you. He's a big ass guy, man. Yeah. And
let me say this, just on that. There's not a lot of NFL running backs built like me. I would probably say I'm the smallest NFL running back that's probably starting. Just straight up, 5'8", 195. So there's not a lot built like me.
No, that's true. Yeah, you're an outlier, man, and we love to see that. But yeah, Stevenson, I think. In terms of just rest of season, running back 7 right now, I think he's easily a top 12 guy rest of the way. Aaron Jones, he's here. He's got an injury right now. I think that just opens up the door for these younger backs to kind of keep coming up. And Stevenson, I think it's definitely running back. We talk about the injury rates and all that. It can be a young man's position right now, Damian Pierce.
There's a lot of young guys.
Those dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of young guys coming up and making a splash. Moving down the list, we got Josh Jacobs. Shout out to that guy, man.
Yeah.
He said, what, Raiders? You're not going to pick up my 5th year? Now it's personal. Now look at him. Now he's blowing through all these tackles. He's, in like top 5 or something like that in rushing yards. Man's making an impact over there. Just the team in general. I'm just how I don't get how their record is what it is.
I mean, I saw a stat that's like in the entire history of the Raiders, they've blown a 17+ lead 5 times in the entire history. This year, it's three times.
Oh, you know what? One of my best friends over there is a long snapper, and we have a group chat with me and some of because we went to high school together. And we have a group chat with some of our high school buddies, and yeah, he's just like, man, like this is like I think it's the third time you said that 0-17 and lost the game when they were up 17-0. I'm just like how like so. For them, I feel like they have everything they need to be a very successful offense. They got Josh Jacobs, who's running the thing. They're throwing it to Devontae Adams. He's doing his thing, and it's like I don't know.
I think there's a little bit of my theory there is like there's a little bit of lack of kind of cohesion in that, like, Adams said after the game, after they lost to the Jaguars, he's like, I don't know why we got away from doing like what we were doing in the first half, which was throwing the ball mainly to him. I mean, that guy had like 30 fantasy points in the first half.
Yeah.
Nothing in the second half. It was crazy. If you have Devontae Adams on your fantasy team, we don't need to be hearing you complain about the second half. All right, you got enough in the first half. Zip it. But I think that he said they kind of felt like they went away from what was working. So I don't know. They're definitely like one of these teams that's trying to figure it out. Like their defense is definitely hit or miss. Their offensive line definitely hit or miss. And I think their strengths have just not been consistently as strong as what you'd want.
But
and
Jacobs
turnovers. Turnovers. Jacobs has had a great year though. And, shout out to him, man. Like you said, 5.6 yards per carry, 6 rushing touchdowns. And he's been pretty good in the pass game too, with 22 catches, 152 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Shout out to him. I'm looking for a big payday for my guy Josh after this year.
Yeah, that'll be pretty exciting. Yeah, Fournette is the interesting one here that, like, from an efficiency standpoint, it's not been there on the ground. 3.3 yards per carry for Leonard Fournette, but 42 catches. Like when you're playing with Tom Brady, you're getting those little dump offs at the running back position. You're gonna put up fantasy numbers.
Yeah, that reminds me of playing back with Phillip Rivers, right? Where it's like, hey, if no one's open, I'm throwing the ball to you. So like get ready, right? And then you get opportunities, right? Especially down in the red zone where you can convert some of those into touchdowns. But yeah, so that's exactly what he's getting there. He's getting that volume because Tom gets the ball out of his hands, right? And so it's going to benefit him. It's going to benefit the entire offense because Tom knows, like, hey, I have to protect myself. If stuff's breaking down, how can I get this out? Running back's usually the easiest option.
Yeah, 100% there. And then, yeah, just in terms of those other guys, like the younger dudes that we were talking about as well, obviously Dameon Pierce, that guy is so good. My brother-in-law has Dameon Pierce on his fantasy team because I told him to draft Dameon Pierce on his fantasy team. And he's like, he texted me on Thursday and he's like, I've never seen this guy play before. He's not tuning into a lot of Houston Texans games, which is understandable. But he's like, I've never seen this guy play before. He's just on my fantasy team. He's so good. How the hell is he this good or whatever? And yeah, man, he's a stud. Number 13, just beyond the top 12. Kenneth Walker, who we talked about a couple episodes ago. Breece Hall, we mentioned, is 15. Travis Etienne's 20th on the season, the Jaguars running back, but he's second over the last 3 weeks in just rushing yards. So they move on from James Robinson, and he's been electric this year. He's averaging over 6 yards per carry on the year.
Yeah, man, it's exciting. It's exciting to see some young guys come in and compete for some of these spots, right? I think it keeps the league healthy, keeps the league exciting. It's like giving you new players to come in. And I think like we had this wave of quarterbacks that have come in over the past few years. Now I see some of these running backs that are starting to make a little bit more of a splash too. So like I said, it's just healthy for the league, keeps eyes and keeps different teams excited about their new players. And it's the waves, man. There's waves. There's up and downs on every single team all the way across, depending on who you got, what's your personnel, things like that. So good stuff.
Man, Miles Sanders, we definitely have to get him on the show at some point. After that, don't draft me in fantasy thing. And
we got to hype him up, man. We gotta hype this man up.
He's crushing it. He is 100% crushing it. So that is pretty good to see, man. And that's also like, hey, when you draft guys from winning teams, the Eagles are the only undefeated team in the NFL right now. You're going to get a lot of production, especially out of the running game, more positive game script, stuff like that. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned from the Miles Sanders thing. Austin, you know what else is exciting? After a light week in the mailbag, we have a ton of stuff to get into here. So let's dive right into it. Ask Austin at yahoosports.com. Y'all came through with some big time good questions. We couldn't even get to them all. We might save a few others if we have another light week, but continue to send in great questions for Austin, whether they are written, audio, video, whatever. He'll answer anything. So let's dive right into a packed week here from Daniel. Hey, Austin, first of all, I wouldn't trade you for anything. You literally put up the projected running backs, or excuse me, you literally put up the projected numbers of an RB1 and a wide receiver 1 combined some weeks. Deebo Samuel, obviously in reference to a few episodes ago, someone said they traded you early in the season for Deebo Samuel. What a bad trade. For my question, that's a good way to get yourself into the mailbag, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good attention grabber there. There you go. Take note, everyone. Take note.
Yeah, for sure. What a bad trade. Anyways, for my question, I've been to 5 home games since the team moved, and I'm a diehard LA Chargers fan. But most weeks, as you know, home games feel like away games with so many transplants in this city. Other than a silent count, what do you guys do to prep, and what do you tell each other in the locker room when the home crowd majority skews to the other team? Bolt up. This offense will win this city over.
Man. Well, as long as I had been a Charger, it has been that way. Even back before, Matt probably remembers this. We were playing in this stadium called StubHub at the time. And it was this little tiny
the coffee shop stadium.
Yes. This little tiny soccer field that is switched to Dignity Health after I think our second year there. But when I first got there, like it was like 50-50 at best for us. And look, we're in LA and it's a crowded neighborhood of entertainment, right? And sports runs deep through some roots, but those roots have been built off of championships years after years. I'm talking, like the Lakers, even the Clippers that have been around for so long that have built up.
Dodgers in baseball, same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so, look, we're the new kids on the block. So if we can't expect to come in here and all of a sudden now everyone loves the Chargers. That's not how sports work. That's not how I would want it to work. I don't want the bandwagoners to jump on right now. I want to have to earn it a little bit. Otherwise, sports wouldn't be as fun. It wouldn't have as many passionate fans. If everyone's just like, oh, we'll go with the team that wins or is around here. So that's what it is for us right now. And look, LA is a great destination spot too. And so people love to fly out and come catch a game, hang out in California. And there's just so many different types of people that are in California too. So that's why we get this like big melting pot of all these different fans of different types of people, different types of teams. So for us, man, it really comes down to, just depend on the crowd's energy. For us, if we're going on silent count, it doesn't matter for us. We practice it enough that, we're good. We did that a couple times this last game. In pretty much every away game, we're using it, right? It's just a way for us to efficiently get up there and not have any mistakes and not, oh, did I hear Justin? Did I not? So really, man, and for us, like, for me, I guess I would say, like, just because there's a bunch of other fans, it doesn't discourage me because I still know there's Charger fans in the stands. And so, like, sure, it might be energy that maybe is negative or positive. But for me, I really see it as, look, we have fans up there. And I truly appreciate the Charger fans that are coming out, especially if you're rocking an Ekeler 30 jersey. And I see you coming out after the game. I'm definitely giving you my gloves. Like, I'm trying to give love back because I know it's tough. It's probably tough as a fan sitting up there and seeing a lot of different other fans. But in the past couple weeks, I've really felt like we've been continuing to gain fans. We haven't really come through in our 2 home games and those 2 home games. But I still was seeing the fans. I think it was more closer to 50-50. Even when we played the Jags, I think we even had more fans than the Jags. So that was I think a growth that we've had just in our fan base. So yeah, for us, man, it's no big deal to us. We appreciate you guys coming out.
Well, and the good thing is, it's like if you're part of the early stages, and then let's say even 10, 15 years from now, after I don't think you'd be playing in 10 years, pal.
No, I won't be. I won't be. We can confirm that.
Yeah, we can go ahead and confirm that. Breaking news. I think that if in 10, 15 years, like the Chargers have a big diehard fan base in this city, and look, like the Rams obviously captured a lot of hearts and minds by winning a damn Super Bowl, but they're struggling this year, so there is a little bit of an opening there.
They
as
had
well.
the same problem. They had the same problem. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl. Like, so what does that tell you? Like, it's not just an overnight, hey, even if you win the championship, now we're all fans. Like, no, you got to, get into the community, make an impact in people's lives, right? You have to slowly start to build this momentum of, hey, the Rams are doing good, not only on the field, but in this area too. Because then that's when people actually have like, oh, I like the Rams because they did something at my kid's school, or they helped me build this organization that I'm involved with over here. Stuff like that really makes an impact in people's lives. Then they become fans.
Yeah, and it's planting seeds right now. Like I said, at 10, 15 years, maybe that blooms, but you're a part of that early process. And, that's something that people will always remember. Let's move on to the next question here from Lawrence. Hey, Austin and Matt. Hey, Lawrence, shout out to you. Love the show and the weekly updates you guys are providing. My question is, what are your thoughts on the current landscape of rushing quarterbacks? It seems like there are many more quarterbacks that are running the ball nowadays, such as Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and Justin Fields the last couple weeks, man. Oh, my God. As a running back yourself, do you like that you are seeing more quarterbacks that run the ball as well, or do you prefer the traditional throwing pocket quarterbacks? With all these mobile quarterbacks, which do you think, this is a different question, but with all these mobile quarterbacks, which of them do you think could actually be a good running back?
Nice. I would say, as an offensive player watching my defense out there, there's nothing more annoying than seeing the quarterback scramble. Everyone's covered. Defense pushes him out of the pocket, and then he starts running and is chunking us down the field. Like, it's so annoying. I'm just like, gosh. So, for my biased reasons, I like to see the pocket passers because I think I think it's easier on our defense. But man, yeah, it's been a change of the game. And like you said, there's a few here. Obviously, there's 32 teams, so not everyone has that dynamic of a quarterback that's able to, actually play the quarterback position well and is crazy athletic and can make plays like these guys. Like the guys you listed, Justin Field, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they're not just like, he can run. Like I would say Justin Herbert can run, but he's not a running quarterback, right? He's not doing what Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen's out there hurdling people. Justin Fields is sprinting, making people miss, like breaking people down. Kyler Murray's like a scurry guy. He just scurries everywhere, I feel like. Like, I don't know. That's just, his stride just looks really short, so it looks like he's just
he's really short. So yeah.
He's just kind of, I'm short too, but I feel like I still have like a little bit of a longer stride. But anyway.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like it's just so annoying, but it's also very entertaining because like when you see these guys, you're like Lamar Jackson making guys miss, Josh Allen, like I said, hurdling dudes, Jalen Hurts chunking people down the field. Like it makes the game more exciting. And especially if you're a fan of one of those teams, you're like, yeah, like we have so many threats, like we could pass, we could run. And if everything breaks down, another guy like that is Mahomes, where he scurrying around can make it happen. Aaron Rodgers too. More so back in the younger days, but still able to get around and make plays happen. I think that's what people want to see. People want to see plays being made offensively for the most part. That's what sells tickets. That's what makes the highlights. That's where the stats are. That's what drives the fantasy scores. That's where everyone's bought in. Like, let's see some good offense. So for the league, it's great. For my team, when we're playing, I'm very annoying. And the running back out of that, I mean, I feel like Lamar Jackson would be an easy one, but I feel like Jalen Hurts would also be a good running back in there as well. And Josh Allen, I feel like could be too. Like
I don't know, man. Josh is so big though.
He's like we talked about, Cordarrelle Patterson, like that type of a runner where it's just like coming downhill, just running and just kind of truck you. Like Josh Allen literally is trying to truck people out there, and he plays quarterback. Where if Justin was doing that, I'd be like, bro, stop. Like, don't do that. Yeah. Like, save your body. Let me go try to run him over. But yeah.
One of the Bears players said that about Justin Fields. Like, I mean, it's great what he's doing, but like, I need him to stop taking those hits.
Yeah, please don't, man. Because the last thing we need is like, oh, now you got a tweaked shoulder, and now we'll shoot. Now
Josh has an elbow. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely a risk in it, but I feel like the reward when you have the elite caliber runners like them is much worth the risk.
Yeah, there was a play last night on Monday Night Football with Lamar Jackson where he like kind of booted out of the pocket and the defense came. It was almost like a play action without the running back. They just bought Lamar booting so hard, and then he just threw a touchdown over the top.
Yeah.
I think he would probably make a great running back in that situation.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson would definitely be the best at that. He had another play too where there was like a power, and like the pulling guard got like caught up and didn't get to the guy he was supposed to block. Lamar Jackson just makes him miss, cuts up, makes another guy miss. It's a little spin move and gets like 9 yards. I'm just like, oh my God. Like if a running back made that play, I'd be like, dang, that was a good play. It's their quarterback making these plays, man. So yeah, pay Lamar Jackson. That dude is elite and definitely deserves a big contract for what he is as far as his value to that team and any team he'll be on.
100%. Last couple questions here from the mailbag from David. Hi, Austin and Matt. Love the show. I listen from afar as I live overseas. Oh, shout out to you, David. I have Austin on all 3 of my teams and have been all in on Austin for the last 3 years. I have a bit of a different question, though. Often we hear about how you, Austin, not me, prepare yourself to be the best version of you, both physically and mentally. My question is there anything you are doing to be the best version of you spiritually? Ooh, big time question there.
Ooh, getting deep. I like it. Wow. For me, spiritually, wow. I think it all is tied in. When I say all, I think I have like this ecosystem that's like my mentality tied into me physically, which also ties into me, what I would say is spiritually. For me, I really try to live my life to the fullest because of how I spiritually think of the world and the opportunity that the world is. For me, I believe that what I have right now is what I know. Like I have this time. This is what I know I have. Like, I don't know what's to come beyond or any of that. And so for me, that drives me. That drives me to push as hard as I can because I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that I have this opportunity right now to try to live it up in this moment of life. And so for me, I'm trying to expand into as many different adventures and as many different things that I would consider value, and expand in those, and then help others along the way, leave a wake of motivation for others to do the same. And so for me, I would say that's really how I see my spirituality. It's like, look, I come from this earth. For me, I'll die, go back into this earth. And so I have this little blimp in time and moment to really take advantage, right, and help others hopefully do the same. So that's what I would say as far as the spiritual part of myself.
Yeah, man, it's all about putting out into the world as much as you can in the time that you have.
Yeah, and trying to help people just do the same, because it's like, man, there's so much fear and uncertainty, and really nothing's promised. And there's so much bad, and there's so much good, and everything in between always happening at the same time. And so really we can just have to continue to keep pushing, because no one really has any idea of what's going on after this, right? Like all we do know, though, what I do know is that you have this life. And so whatever your situation is, look, I don't know. I can't really relate to everyone because I don't know what you've gone through, but what I can relate to you and what I can share with you is, look, if you continue to push, continue to try to put yourself in a position where you feel like you're doing something that is fulfilling for your life, or that you feel like you're growing towards something, like, you're going to have a much better understanding of, like, yes, I have a purpose, right? Like, you're going to give yourself that purpose of, like, yes, I'm building towards something, whether it's big, whether it's small, whether you're growing fast or slow. Like, as long as you have progress towards something in your life, it's going to give you that, like I said, feeling of like, okay, I'm doing something worth it. I think that's very important for all of us to have.
Shoot, man, you said we don't even know what's going to happen after this. Even tomorrow, we don't know. Here in this life, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, you're in a unique position. I find myself in a unique position in life too, and it's just, you got to just live that the most that you can.
We know, Matt, it could be much worse, man. Incredibly worse, right? Yeah. And so, like, that's the thing. Like, I understand that, and guess what? So that's why I try to leave, like I said, a wake of motivation behind me, because, man, if I can impact people, hopefully they'll be able to impact people, and so on, right? We can all help try to make this place a little bit better, right? But it starts with us as an individual trying to make it the best for ourselves first, right? Because if you're not in a good mental spot, if you're not taking care of what you think you should be doing, and you're not feeling like you're healthy and can actually help, then it doesn't matter, because you can't help anybody if you're still seeking, like, okay, I don't know, you're kind of lost in your head. So it starts with individual, then it becomes a community, then it becomes a village, then it just goes out from there.
Yeah, it's that seed planting, what we talked about with the Chargers fan base. You can do that for somebody's life, and you have no idea, like, 10, 15 years, like, something you did for them might actually be a big deal. So just try to be as good as you can to everybody around you. Be just,
and yourself,
a good person, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotta be good to yourself. That's hard. That could be a whole podcast right there. Self-love.
That could be.
That's a tough one. Last thing here from Colin, due to the podcast, you've become my favorite NFL player. So I'm going to need you to move to the Panthers. Can I count on you to start making those moves so we can make that happen in the near future? No rush, just within the next couple of years. Colin, trying to get you to the Carolina Panthers.
Hey, man, they just got rid of Christian over there. What the heck? You think they think they want me over there now?
Well, he said next couple of years, man. No rush. Next couple years.
Okay, no. Well, hey, man, I'm in year 6 right now. So if there's any rush, it's definitely going to be whoever has my next contract for sure. Because I don't know. We'll see. We'll take it one at a time. But hey, I appreciate the love, Colin. And this is one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast, why I love connecting with fans, is because look, we have a fan that's a fan of the Panthers, but he's also a fan of myself too.
Sorry,
that's why it's so important. And I wish guys would understand that there's true value to be had within the fantasy football community. I know there's toxicity. We got to look past it, man, because look, if you're able to connect and just give someone some type of, just appreciation because they're giving you love because they're on your fantasy or you scored something for them. Or even if it's in the podcast space and you're just speaking your mind or, just sharing what you're involved with and your passions, and that's helping somebody by giving them value. Like, that is incredibly value that people don't understand. And people don't understand when I'm talking people, I'm talking guys in the league. They don't understand because it's not quick value. Like, you're not getting paid right now. Here's your paycheck for doing this interview. But however, it might have exponential value because you connected with somebody heard it. Your fan base is growing, and that's giving you more opportunities to do brand deals. Things like, there's so much, right, that can compound, right? That compound interest of you putting efforts into the community, into giving back, into connecting, into increasing your value. That is why I love all of this, like things like that. So I appreciate that, Colin. Appreciate you being a Panther fan and showing your boy some support, man.
Yeah, well, good luck to Colin the rest of the season. It could be a bit of a long one, but hey, as we've said before, they're clearly trying to get picks. They're clearly trying to rebuild get big salaries off the books. Maybe in a few years they're ready to make a big push for another running back, and you'll be on the. I don't know about that, Austin.
Look, if they're go for a young guy if that's what you're going for. You're not gonna, if you're looking for a big push, some type of long-term play. It's probably not going to be me. I'm probably trying to go to a place that's already established anyway. So I'm not trying to go build with the team. When you get later in your career, it's kind of like the NBA. You see these guys, like, you're not going to see these older guys going to teams that are trying to build unless they're bringing all these their buddies with them, right? So I'm getting to that point in my life where it's like, I need to make sure I'm on an established team or a team that has potential to make a run,
Well, you're doing well where you're at right now, man. So things are... just keep pushing the rest of the season. You guys got a big game coming up against the 49ers on Sunday Night Football. That'll be a fun one to watch. Great defense there in San Francisco. A lot of interesting guys on the offense as well. This will be really the first time we've seen fully integrated CMC. Debo healthy, I assume coming off the bye. George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. A lot of studs over there, man. Should be a fun game to watch. But that is going to do it for us, man. Hell of a show today. I feel like we covered a ton in this episode.
We did. We were all over the place. Spirituality, organizations, individual players, matchups. That was jam-packed for sure.
Yeah, somebody tried to recruit Austin to the Panthers. That was mixed results. All right, well, Austin, we appreciate you, man. Good luck this week. It's going to be a fun game. I'll be watching from the East Coast, actually, so I'll be experiencing the pain of Sunday Night Football on the East Coast for an old man like myself. But that's going to do it for us. You can follow Austin on Twitter or Instagram at Austin Eckler. You can follow me at _BYB. And while you're there, for God's sakes, make sure you're following at Yahoo Fantasy. I will be back tomorrow with Dalton Del Don tomorrow for I said that twice. I'll be back tomorrow with Dalton Del Don for a packed, electric Stat Nerd Thursday. Until then, we're out.